Growing up, my brother Logan was the golden boy. He could do no wrong. That is, until he discovered the truth. Our parents had been lying to him about me. Once he knew, he gave me proof and together we tore their whole legal case apart. I had always looked up to Logan. Since I was little, I just wanted our folks to love me the way they loved him. While other kids were outside riding bikes or crashing toy trucks, I was inside scrubbing floors and wiping down every inch of the house, hoping someone might notice. I even tried to make sense of Mom's confusing home filing system so I could help her out. But it was always the same ending. They'd come home, see what I did, and then turn to Logan like he had done it all. "Wow, Logan," they'd say, "we're so proud of you for inspiring your brother Leo." Then they'd hand him a treat, maybe take him out somewhere fun. And me? I'd get told I didn't do enough. There's that line from BoJack Horseman that goes, you tell someone they're bad long enough, they start to believe it. Yeah, I believed it. Not just that I was somehow wrong, but that Logan had something I lacked. That I had to earn my worth next to him. So when I landed that scholarship to Hampton College during senior year, I was beyond thrilled. I felt like I could fly. I bolted downstairs, ready to tell Logan and our parents. But when I got there, instead of celebrating, they all looked like I'd just broken something valuable. Logan looked furious. Dad's fists were tight by his sides. "Are you freaking kidding me right now?" he shouted. Then Mom chimed in, tears already in her eyes. "How could you do this to us?" And Logan? He just glared at me, arms crossed, not saying a word. Turned out he had applied to the same school. And since I got the scholarship and he didn't, they all assumed I must have cheated him out of it. They were convinced I stole it. I blinked back tears, trying not to let them see how crushed I was. I walked back up to my room and left the door cracked open so I could hear what they said. And sure enough, they were whispering that I had to have plagiarized or cheated. Dad's voice was filled with so much anger, I honestly felt scared. Later that week, the silence at home was brutal. No one spoke to me unless it was to scold. And then my guidance counselor pulled me into her office. She looked me dead in the eye and told me she was ashamed she ever helped me. I was already on the verge of tears and didn't even know why until she explained. The school had gotten a plagiarism report with screenshots that made it look like I copied someone else's work. My head spun. My ears were ringing. I could hear my heart pounding. She just stared at me like I was a stranger. I didn't even try to defend myself. I just walked out. I was done. I felt guilty, yeah, but I earned that scholarship. Then I got a message from my dad, "Don't come home." So I didn't. I walked straight to my godfather Jack's place, full of shame and anger all mixed up inside. But the moment he opened that door and gave me a real, honest-to-God smile, my legs gave out and I just cried into his shoulder. He let me inside, sat me down, and I told him everything about Logan, our parents, the scholarship. Jack didn't say much, just nodded. That was enough. For once, someone listened. I was so drained I passed out not long after. When I woke up, the house was dark and quiet. My phone was dead and I wanted to check the time. So I crept upstairs and grabbed Jack's phone while he was asleep. It unlocked automatically. That's when I saw it, texts from my parents. Turns out they told Jack I was just going through a rough patch. But after I told him the truth, he got pissed. His replies were, well, let's just say they weren't friendly. But reading them made me smile. For the first time, someone had stood up for me. And Jack wasn't done yet. Next morning, Jack acted like it was just a regular day making breakfast. But I could see something different in his eyes, something solid. "Leo," he said as he handed me a plate of pancakes, "I think I know what happened with your scholarship. And we're gonna fix it." I nearly choked on my orange juice. "How?" I asked. "Well," he said, sitting down across from me, "first off, I called my buddy in admissions at Hampton. They're rechecking the claim. But more importantly, we gotta talk about the real issue here, your parents and Logan." That's when Jack dropped a bombshell. He'd been watching this pattern for years. He tried to talk to them, but they always brushed him off. "This ain't normal, Leo," he said. "It ain't your fault. And you sure as hell don't deserve it." I started crying again. Yeah, it was embarrassing. But it felt good to let it out. Then Jack slid his phone across the table. "Logan called me this morning. Said he needed to talk about you. Wants to meet at that coffee shop downtown at noon." I felt my stomach twist. Logan never reached out to Jack. Ever. What was he up to? "You want me to go?" Jack asked. Part of me wanted to stay hidden. But another part, the one that finally felt seen, wanted answers. "Yeah," I said. "But I'm coming with you. I'll stay out of sight, but I need to hear what he says." Jack nodded. "Fair enough. But Leo, no matter what happens today, I want you to remember something. This cycle, this mess, it ends here." I had no idea just how right he was, or how fast everything was about to blow up. Because Logan wasn't coming to that coffee shop alone. What we were about to uncover that day, it would tear everything wide open. Looking back now, I see that standing in Jack's kitchen that morning was the line in the sand. For so long, I brushed off the way my family treated me. Figured I must have deserved it somehow. But Jack, just the way he believed in me without hesitation, it made me rethink everything I thought was normal. When you've been stuck alone in the dark, just having one person strike a match for you, it changes everything. As we got ready to meet Logan, my head was spinning with possibilities. What was he gonna say? Was he finally ready to come clean? Or was this another move to put me back in my place? I ran through every possible version in my mind, but none of them came close to what actually went down. Turns out, the scholarship mess was just the tip of a giant, buried mess in our family, something ugly that had been sitting beneath the surface for years. I've learned that sometimes the hardest pill to swallow ain't someone else's betrayal. It's realizing how long you let it happen, how long you let yourself be small for the sake of peace. That day at the coffee shop, it didn't just change what I knew about my parents or the scholarship. It flipped how I saw myself too. Jack didn't just give me a place to crash that night, it was more than that. He handed me something I'd never had before, the strength to fight for my own worth. I got there 15 minutes early and settled into a spot in the corner where I could see the entrance without being seen right away. I had my hoodie up, a laptop open in front of me like I was just another guy sipping coffee and minding his business. Jack sat closer to the door, drinking his Americano like this was just some average meetup. My hands were shaking like crazy. I hadn't seen Logan since that blow-up dinner. Then, right on the dot, noon hits, and in walks Logan, punctual as ever when he was the one making the plans. He spotted Jack and headed over with this twitchy, uneasy energy I wasn't used to seeing from him. Logan was always cool, always sure of himself. This version of him? Not so much. Appreciate you coming, he told Jack, glancing around like someone might be watching. I couldn't hear everything from where I was sitting, but I could read his face just fine. He looked worried. Not smug or smug adjacent, just flat out stressed. Jack nodded here and there, glancing over at me every so often. About 10 minutes in, he stood up and made his way to the restroom. That was our sign. On his way by my table, he dropped a folded napkin in front of me. On it was a scribbled message, he wants to talk. Says it's important. Your call. My heart was slamming in my chest so hard I was sure people around me could hear it. I closed the laptop, stood up, and headed over to Logan's table. His eyes went wide. Leo? What the hell? I pulled out the chair across from him. Jack said you wanted to talk, I said flatly. So, let's talk. Logan looked around again, then leaned in close. You need to drop this. Just admit you cheated, tell mom and dad you're sorry, and move on. I blinked at him. Seriously? That's why you wanted to meet? To convince me to admit to something I didn't do? Look, he said, lowering his voice. I get it. You feel screwed. But this is just easier. Hampton was always supposed to be mine. You knew that. Your thing. I scoffed. I had no clue you even applied until I already got in. That's not true, he snapped. I've been talking about it since 9th grade. Maybe he had. Maybe during those family dinners I never got invited to. Or when I was upstairs studying and they were laughing over takeout downstairs. All I knew was I wasn't part of those conversations. I busted my ass for that scholarship, I told him, keeping my voice low but firm. I earned it. And someone, probably you, faked those screenshots to take it away. His eyes flicked away from mine. That was all I needed to see. It was you, wasn't it? I pushed. Not exactly, he mumbled. That helped. It felt like the floor dropped out under me. I had always feared it, but hearing it said out loud, it hit different. My own father went behind my back to destroy something I worked so hard for. Jack came back and sat beside me, laying a hand on my shoulder like a quiet anchor. This is no longer just a family matter, Jack said, his voice solid. I heard what you just told Leo. And I need to be clear, this isn't just emotional abuse. This is academic fraud. It might even be illegal. Logan's face drained of color. Illegal? Come on. It's just family stuff. Jack raised his eyebrows. Submitting fake documents to revoke a scholarship is a lot more than just family stuff. Logan squirmed in his seat. He looked like a kid who'd been caught stealing from the cookie jar. Not the golden boy who always got away with it. What exactly did Dad do? Asked. Logan sighed and looked down at his hands. He used the family computer, took a few of your old essays, found similar ones online, changed the dates, made fake screenshots. Jack's hand tightened on my shoulder. And Mom? Jack asked quietly. Was she in on it? She knew, Logan admitted. But Dad's the one who did the actual stuff. I sat there in silence, the numbness washing over me. I had spent years trying to be perfect, trying to earn their approval. All that time, they were sabotaging me behind my back. Why? I whispered. Why would you do that to me? For the first time ever, Logan didn't look cocky. He looked ashamed. Really, truly ashamed. It wasn't supposed to get this far, he said. When you got that scholarship, Dad lost it. Said you had to have cheated. I went along with it. I always do. Go along with what? Jack pressed. Logan stared at the table. The Leo thing. I blinked. The what now? You know, he mumbled. The way they treat you. Jack leaned in closer. Logan, be honest. Has this favoritism, this sabotage, been going on your whole lives? Logan nodded, slow and quiet. Yeah, since we were little. I don't even know why it started. First, I liked it. I got more stuff. But later, it got weird. Weird how? I asked. They made me watch you. Like if you were doing too well, studying too much, getting high grades, they do stuff. Give you more chores. Take away your books. Hide your homework sometimes. Each word was another knife to the gut. All those times I couldn't find my textbook, it wasn't me being forgetful. All those last-minute deep cleaning tasks I had to do before tests. Turns out that wasn't just bad luck or me being scatterbrained. It was planned. Logan kept his eyes on the table as he said, they'd praise me when I did better than you, but if you outshine me, they'd make you pay for it. Said it made me look bad. Jack let out a low, Jesus Christ. Under his breath, Logan kept going, voice barely above a whisper. I didn't get it when we were younger, but somewhere around middle school, I started noticing. By then, it was just how things were. And it never crossed your mind to, I don't know, tell me? I asked. My voice cracked, anger finally breaking through all the shock I'd been sitting in. I tried once, he said. We were 14. I told Mom I thought it wasn't fair how they treated you. She flipped out, said I was being ungrateful, that they were just preparing us for life. Preparing us how? I snapped. Logan shrugged, like he was still trying to make sense of it himself. She said there can only be one winner in the real world, that they were training me to succeed. In YouTube. Jack scoffed, hard. YouTube? Are you kidding me? I looked at Logan and asked, so why now? Why are you telling me all this after all these years? After everything they did to me? Logan shifted in his seat. He looked nervous again. Because what happened with the scholarship? It crossed a line. I didn't know they were gonna kick you out of the house. And then when I heard you were with Jack, Mom and Dad started saying stuff like you were dead to them, that we had to cut out the cancer. Hearing him say that, even casually, made my skin crawl. They're really going to disown me? I said out loud, more to myself than anyone else. Logan nodded. Yeah, they're seeing a lawyer tomorrow, talking about taking you out of the will and everything. Mom's even thinking of changing my last name to hers, so we don't share anything anymore. That's completely unhinged, Jack said, pulling out his phone. I'm documenting all of this. Logan's eyes widened. No, you can't tell them I said anything. They'll what? I cut in. Treat you like they treat me? He didn't say a word. Didn't need to. His silence was the answer. Jack put his phone down, tone gentler now. Logan, listen to me. I get that you're scared. But what your parents have been doing to Leo is abuse. It's psychological, it's manipulative, and it's wrong. And whether you meant to or not, they roped you into it, too. Logan's eyes filled with tears. I know. I'm sorry. I wanted to scream at him. I wanted to throw something. But instead, all I felt was sadness. He'd been used too, just in a different way. So what do we do now? I asked Jack. We start fixing this, Jack said, his voice steady. And first up is that scholarship. But how? Logan asked. Dad already sent in the fake documents. Jack gave a tight, grim smile. Remember that friend I mentioned at Hampton? I also happen to know a thing or two about digital forensics. That evidence won't hold up. And for the first time in what felt like forever, I felt the smallest flicker of hope. Logan looked down again. What about me? He asked quietly. I can't go home like nothing happened. Jack and I looked at each other. Despite everything, he was still my twin. We shared a life, even if parts of it were completely lopsided. You can stay with me too, Jack said, nodding toward him. I've got another guest room. Logan blinked, caught off guard. After everything I've done, why would you even help me? Jack didn't hesitate. Because unlike your parents, I don't believe in throwing kids away. We walked out of that coffee shop with a loose plan. Jack would get in touch with Hampton's admissions to challenge the plagiarism claims. I would keep staying at Jack's, and Logan would head home to grab a few essentials. He said he'd make up some excuse about a school project and sneak out later that night to come back. I wasn't sure I could trust him all the way yet, but something had changed. For the first time in our lives, Logan and I were on the same team, no longer playing by our parents' twisted rules. Back at Jack's place, I helped fix up the second guest room while he made calls in the next room. I couldn't hear every word, but I picked up phrases like emotional abuse pattern and starting legal documentation. Jack wasn't just focusing on my scholarship, he was going after the full truth. At around 8 o'clock that night, I got a text from Logan. Dad's watching me pack. Acting weird. Might be delayed. An hour went by. Then another. By 11 p.m., there was still no sign of him. I texted again, but the messages were marked delivered, never read. Something's wrong, I told Jack. Give it until morning, he said gently. Your parents are probably keeping tabs on him now, especially after you vanished. I tried to sleep, but I kept checking my phone like it was a lifeline. Nothing. Around 2 a.m. I called him. Straight to voicemail. When the sun came up and there was still no word, I couldn't sit still anymore. We need to go check on him, I told Jack as we sipped coffee. He looked torn. Showing up at your parents' house could make things worse. Or he could be in real trouble for trying to help me. I shot back. Before he could answer, Jack's phone rang. He checked the screen and his face turned serious. It's Hampton. I held my breath as Jack took the call. He talked for about 10 minutes, mostly listening, occasionally asking something short and clipped. When he finally hung up, his face was unreadable. Well, I asked. The good news, he said, is they've agreed to review the plagiarism complaint again. And the bad. They found something else, he said slowly. Another application. Same name, same details. But different essays, different recommendations. Submitted one day before the deadline. My stomach dropped. But I only submitted one. I know, Jack said. That's the point. The second one, it was clearly plagiarized. Sloppy. Like it was designed to get flagged. I felt sick. They tried to sabotage me before I even had a chance. Jack nodded. And get this, it was submitted from a school IP address. Not your house. My brain kicked into overdrive. Logan, I said. He must have done it at school. Maybe from the library. Most likely, Jack agreed. But the silver lining is that now, the admissions team is aware of what's been going on. They're documenting everything and plan to assess your original application on its own merit. That should have brought me relief. But all I could think about was Logan. He had risked everything to come clean. Had our parents figured it out? We have to find him, I said again. After some back and forth, Jack agreed. We got in his truck and drove toward my old neighborhood. I was a bundle of nerves. My eyes locked on the road ahead. What if they saw me? What if they called the cops on me? Accused me of trespassing or something just to keep me away? That thought was still spinning in my head when we turned down my old street. And that's when I saw it. Right in the driveway of the house I grew up in. A moving truck. What the hell? I muttered under my breath. Jack slowed the car and pulled over a few houses away. We watched in silence as movers carried out boxes, furniture, and bags. Our stuff. My childhood. All of it being packed into that truck like it didn't matter. Are they actually moving? I asked, completely stunned. Jack squinted at the scene. Without saying a word to you? That's extreme. Even for them. We sat there nearly an hour just watching. I spotted my mom a few times barking orders, pointing at different things. My dad showed up briefly, arms full of file folders, tossing them in the back seat of their car. But Logan? No sign of him. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. I'm going over there. Jack grabbed my arm. Hold on, Leo. Think this through. They're literally packing up and leaving without telling me, I snapped. Logan's not answering his phone. Something's seriously wrong. Before Jack could stop me, I was out of the car and heading straight toward the house. My mom saw me first. I swear, her face cycled through every emotion in the book, surprise, anger, and maybe even a flicker of fear. What are you doing here? She hissed, yanking me around the side of the house where the movers couldn't see. Where's Logan? I demanded. That's none of your concern. You're not part of this family anymore. Even after everything, hearing her say that still hit me like a gut punch. So you're just disappearing? What am I supposed to do? All my stuff is in there. We packed the essentials, she said flatly. Jack can pick them up from our lawyer next week. I stared at her. Where is Logan? Something shifted in her expression. He's staying with a friend until we get settled. I didn't believe her for a second. Which friend? That's not your concern, she snapped. Then she glanced over my shoulder. I see you've got Jack playing your little victim games now too. Jack had followed me and was standing a few feet away, arms folded tight. Barbara, he said, calm but firm, we need to talk about what you and Robert have done. Her expression hardened. There's nothing to discuss. Leo made his choices. You mean like working hard and earning a scholarship? Jack shot back. Or existing in a house that's been systematically breaking him down since he was a child? She let out a sharp, bitter laugh. Oh, is that what he told you? Per misunderstood Leo. Did he mention the substances we found in his room? I blinked. What are you talking about? I've never touched anything in my life. The marijuana and pills in your desk, she said smoothly like it was rehearsed. Logan found them last month. We were trying to get you help quietly before you went off the rails with the scholarship drama. I felt the world tilt around me. They weren't just twisting the truth now, they were flat out inventing a version of me that never existed. Jack stepped closer and put a hand on my shoulder. Barbara, this is over the line, he said, voice steady. We have evidence of the false plagiarism report. We know about the second fake application submitted in Leo's name. And now you're fabricating drug use? Her face faltered for just a moment. You have no proof of anything. Actually, we do, Jack said. But right now, I'm more concerned about Logan. Where's he really? She hesitated. He's fine. He's just processing. I want to talk to him, I said. Just 5 minutes. That's not possible, she replied quickly. Then my dad appeared around the corner. His face twisted into something hateful when he saw me. What the hell is he doing here? He barked. Barbara, I told you to call the police if he came back. Robert, Jack said, stepping forward, we're just trying to have a civil discussion. My dad pointed at him. You've always undermined our parenting. Always taking Leo's side. Well, congratulations, you've got him now. He's your problem. He's not a problem, Jack said evenly. He's a smart, kind young man who deserves better than what you've done. Dad's face turned beet red. Get off my property before I call the police. Where's Logan? I said again, not backing down. Gone, he shouted. He's gone somewhere you can't poison him against us anymore. A cold shiver ran down my spine. What does that mean? My mom grabbed his arm. Robert, stop. There was a tense silence. The movers kept working behind us like they couldn't hear a word. We enrolled him in Westfield Academy, she said finally. He left yesterday. Westfield. A boarding school 3 states away. Known for being strict. The kind of place parents send kids they want to control. You sent him away because he talked to me? I asked, disbelief thick in my voice. He needed structure, Dad snapped. He needed distance from your influence. Jack pulled out his phone. I'm calling him. He can't answer, Mom said, her smug smile returning. They suspend phone privileges the first month. Helps new students adjust. They had locked him away. Because he showed one sign of stepping outside their control. This isn't over, Jack said, voice like steel. You've crossed so many lines. You'll be hearing from our attorney. He guided me back to the car. I was numb. They sent Logan away, I kept muttering. Because of me. No, Jack said firmly. They sent him away because they're losing control of the story they've built. This isn't your fault, Leo. None of it. Back at Jack's house, we got to work. He called a lawyer friend who specialized in family law. I sat down and wrote out everything I could remember, every instance of sabotage, every insult, every time they tried to make me feel small. We looked up Westfield Academy too. I read aloud from the school website, 30-day no-contact policy for new students, designed to help students detach from negative influences. Jack frowned. That's a little too convenient for your parents. There are exceptions for emergencies, I said, scrolling. But not this. Not something we can explain on paper. Not directly, Jack agreed. But there are other ways. Over the next week, things moved fast. Hampton officially reinstated my scholarship after reviewing the proof Jack and I gathered. Jack's lawyer friend, Susan, helped me file for legal emancipation since my parents had effectively kicked me out. And then something unexpected happened. Teachers from my old school came forward. Some of them had kept notes, emails, even documentation about how my parents had interfered in my education for years. Turns out I wasn't the only one who noticed something was seriously wrong all those years. Ms. Rivera, my chemistry teacher, had kept records, actual records of every time my parents asked her to lower my grades or accused me of showing off in class. My debate coach still had emails from them asking that I be given smaller roles on the team so I wouldn't outshine Logan. It felt both validating and gut-wrenching. They hadn't just been casually cruel, they had been intentional, methodical. And people had seen it. They just didn't know how to stop it. While I was processing that, Jack had been working his angles. He couldn't get me on the phone with Logan, but he did manage to talk to a counselor at Westfield Academy. Told them he was concerned about how Logan had ended up there so suddenly, so quietly. 2 weeks after that hellish showdown at my parents' house, we got a break. A letter came in the mail for me. I recognized the handwriting right away, Logan's, messy and slanted. But the return address wasn't from the school. Inside, just one sheet of notebook paper. Leo, I'm okay. Don't worry. School watches everything, but my roommate Dakota is mailing this through his cousin who lives nearby. Parents told the school you abused me. Total lies. They're scared. We talked. Teachers here are decent but strict. Working on a plan. Trust me for once. I read that note 3 times, hands shaking. Relief hit me like a wave. He was safe. Not free, but still fighting and still on my side. Jack read it and gave a short nod. This gives us something to work with, he said. If Logan's willing to call out their lies, I added, then it's their word against both of ours. Exactly. And with everything we've already gathered and your teachers backing you, he gave a grim smile, your parents overplayed their hand. That night, for the first time in weeks, I actually slept. Deep, dreamless sleep. Because finally, I wasn't just dodging their attacks, I was fighting back. And I wasn't alone. But I had no idea they weren't done. Next morning, I woke to Jack shaking my shoulder. Leo, get up. We've got a problem. I blinked at my phone. 6:47 a.m. Nothing good ever comes that early. What is it? I mumbled. Jack handed me his laptop. I scanned the email on the screen, one from Susan, his lawyer friend, and my stomach dropped. They're filing for a restraining order against you. On what grounds? I asked, sitting up fast. Supposedly, Jack said with a tight jaw, you've been harassing them. Making threats. They say they fear for their safety. That's complete garbage. I haven't contacted them at all since that day. I know, Jack nodded. Susan thinks it's a preemptive move. They're trying to shut you out before we can make more progress, with Logan, with the scholarship, all of it. I flopped back against the pillow. Unbelievable. And, Jack added, his voice dark, they're also accusing me of manipulating you. Of trying to turn you against them for my own gain. Now that lit a fire in me. Jack had been nothing but kind, patient, and loyal. He'd stepped up when my own parents shoved me aside. So what do we do? Susan's already drafting our response, Jack said. We've got plenty of proof. Their claims won't stand up in court. But we have to play this smart, no contact, no reaction, document everything. And we need to speed up our plans with Logan. Over breakfast, we went over our next steps. The hearing was in a week. If the restraining order went through, it would give them a legal excuse to isolate me even more and silence Logan. We need Logan's side in writing, Jack said. That letter helped. But it's not enough on its own. I stirred my cereal, appetite gone. But how do we get that without tipping off the school? Jack gave me a knowing look. Remember Dakota's cousin? The one who mailed Logan's note? A slow smile spread across my face. You think we send something back? Exactly. We wrote a careful letter, nothing risky, just a straight-up ask for Logan to write a signed statement about what had happened, how we grew up, what our parents did, and the scholarship mess. No shade at the school. Just the truth. Jack used a roundabout mailing route to keep things under the radar. And then, we waited. While we waited, more pieces of the puzzle kept surfacing. Miss Rivera, who, I'll remind you, was once my guidance counselor, forwarded emails where my dad had actually told her to misplace some of my recommendation letters. He thought it would make me more realistic about my chances. My debate coach? She showed us a message from my mom offering to buy the team new equipment if she made Logan captain instead of me, even though everyone knew I was better qualified. It was surreal. All those years I thought I just didn't measure up. When in reality, they were actively, quietly, deliberately holding me back. 3 days later, we got a phone call from Susan. Hampton College has fully reinstated your scholarship, she told us. And they've issued an official apology. Their internal investigation confirmed the claim was false. They're even changing their security protocols moving forward. Jack hung up and turned to me. That's one win, he said. But we're not done yet. We still have to deal with your parents and Logan's situation. That afternoon, I was in the middle of sorting documents with Jack when the doorbell rang. Jack answered it. I heard quiet voices, then footsteps. He walked back into the kitchen, looking puzzled. Leo, there's someone here to see you. I followed him to the front room and froze. Sitting on the couch was a tall, skinny kid with shaggy hair and a nervous look in his eyes. Dakota? I said, stunned. He stood up quickly. Hey. Yeah, Logan sent me. You came here. Well, he said, I'm staying with my cousin for the weekend, he's like 20 minutes away. But Logan asked me to stop here before heading back. Jack looked just as surprised as I felt. How'd you find this place? Dakota shrugged. Logan had it memorized. Said this was his godfather's place. I sat down across from him. Is Logan okay? He's fine, Dakota said, reaching into his backpack. But he wanted me to give you this. He pulled out a sealed envelope and handed it over carefully. Said it's really important, and that no one else should see it. I tore open the envelope like it might vanish if I hesitated. Inside, there was a USB drive and a folded piece of paper in Logan's handwriting. Leo, everything you need is on this drive. Password is our birthday. I've been keeping records for years, just never had the guts to share them until now. I hid everything in a locked box under my bed. Mom and Dad never found it. Be careful. They're telling people you're unstable. Even tried convincing the school that I needed protection from you. Logan. My hands were shaking as I handed the note to Jack. Records, he said, eyebrows raised. What kind of records? I didn't say a word. Just went straight to his computer, plugged in the USB, and typed in our birthday. The drive opened up a folder, dozens of files neatly sorted by type and date. Text documents, screenshots, photos, voice recordings, all labeled and organized like Logan had been preparing for this moment for years. What the? I whispered, clicking through. There were audio clips of my parents having conversations about how to hold me back. Screenshots of texts between them plotting ways to misplace my college forms, talking about keeping me in line. There were even photos of my old awards and certificates, the ones I thought I'd lost. Logan had snapped pics before they were destroyed or accidentally thrown out. But the hardest to read were his journals. Entries stretching all the way back to when we were 13. Page after page of raw honesty. Logan writing about how they'd compliment him in front of me only to tear me down behind closed doors. How they turned us against each other, how he got rewarded for beating me and I got punished for outdoing him. I didn't want to believe it was on purpose, he wrote when we were 15. But today I heard Dad tell Mom we need to keep Leo in his place. Families need a hierarchy. Mom asked if that might hurt my feelings. Dad said better he learns now than thinks he's worth more than he is later. I feel sick. I don't know what to do. Jack read over my shoulder, jaw tight. With each file we opened, his face grew darker. This is extensive, he muttered. He's been documenting this for years. Why didn't he ever tell me? I asked. I didn't know what I felt, grateful? Betrayed? Maybe both. Dakota, who'd been sitting quietly in the living room, spoke up. He told me once, he said softly. Said he was scared. Scared if he told the truth, he'd lose the only thing he thought he had, their approval. By the time he realized how messed up it all was, the guilt was too heavy. Jack turned toward him. Dakota, would you be willing to give a statement? Something we could show a judge about what you've seen and heard at school, what Logan's told you. Dakota hesitated. I could get in trouble for leaving campus without permission. Jack nodded. We won't put you at risk. You're visiting your cousin, that's real, right? We just need your words. A statement. No courtroom. After a long pause, Dakota nodded. Okay. Yeah. I'll do it. His statement confirmed what we feared. Logan had been enrolled at Westfield suddenly with a fabricated backstory, one where I was violent and dangerous. Logan had told his school counselor the truth, but the school still followed the parents' instructions and shut down all outside contact. Logan's actually doing okay, Dakota added. Strict, but fair. It's just the isolation. That part sucks. When Dakota left, he took a reply with him, another letter we'd written to Logan. Carefully worded. We thanked him for the drive, told him about the hearing, and said we were using his evidence to fight back. And we promised him we wouldn't stop until he was free too. Then Jack and I sat down and started going through all the files one by one. It was overwhelming. So much pain. So much manipulation. All laid out in black and white. This changes everything, Jack said. Especially for the hearing. But we need to be smart with how we use it. That evening Susan came over. The three of us mapped out a plan, not just to defend against the restraining order, but to go on offense. We'd file for my full emancipation, backed by Logan's files, my teacher's testimonies, and proof of years of emotional abuse. With this evidence, Susan said, we can also request court-approved contact with Logan. Since he's still a minor, we can't override your parents entirely. But sibling rights carry weight, especially with this kind of history. Before I knew it, the day of the hearing arrived. I didn't sleep much the night before. Jack and Susan had walked me through everything, step by step, but I still felt like I had a brick in my stomach. This wasn't just any courtroom. This was my parents trying to paint me as the threat. We walked in and there they were. My mom and dad sitting on the other side of the room with a lawyer in a suit that probably cost more than everything I owned. Slick hair, smug smile. The type who makes a living getting rich people out of trouble. I could feel my hands trembling as I sat down. But Jack leaned over and whispered, just tell the truth. That's all you need to do. And for the first time in a long time, I believed him. My mom showed up looking like she'd stepped straight out of a worried mother brochure, neat sweater, subtle makeup, eyes wide with pretend concern. My dad sat beside her, stiff as ever, wearing his best disappointed father scowl. Their lawyer stood tall and confident, clearly ready to sell whatever fantasy they had cooked up. He kicked things off with a complete fiction, talking about my so-called behavioral issues, hinting at outbursts and instability, and finishing with a wild claim that I'd threatened them after they supposedly caught me with substances. And just to top it all off, he pulled out a little plastic baggie like he was on some TV drama. Found in his room, he claimed, holding up a bag of marijuana like it was Exhibit A in a criminal case. It was absurd, but also terrifying. Then it was our turn. Susan stood up and didn't even flinch. Calm, measured, and sharp as a blade, she walked the court through our entire case. First came the statements from my teachers showing years of tampering and interference. Then came proof of the scholarship sabotage, the emails, the missing letters, and the blatant favoritism. Then Dakota's statement about Logan. About how he showed up at Westfield with a fabricated backstory and how my parents had tried to paint me as dangerous. And finally, Logan's files. As Susan played audio clips of my parents plotting behind closed doors, I watched their faces crack. My mom's skin went ghost white. My dad's jaw clenched, his eyes darting like he was searching for an escape hatch. Anger, denial, panic, it all flickered across his face. Their lawyer tried to push back, arguing the clips could have been edited or taken out of context. But Susan was ready for that. She presented metadata, timestamps, and file details to back everything up. Then she looked right at the judge. "Your Honor," she said, steady as ever, "this is not a case of a rebellious teenager threatening his parents. This is a documented pattern of emotional abuse. These parents abandoned their son, attempted to sabotage his future, and cut him off from his twin brother when he began seeing through their manipulation." The courtroom went quiet. The judge sat there, fingers steepled under his chin, his eyes unreadable. Then he finally spoke. "In my 30 years on the bench," he said slowly, "I've seen a lot of ugly family disputes, but this level of calculated psychological control, this is something else entirely." He turned to my parents. "Your petition for a restraining order is denied." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Furthermore," he added, "I'm granting temporary emancipation to Leo effective immediately, pending a full hearing next month, which I fully expect will result in permanent emancipation, based on the overwhelming evidence presented here today." I sat frozen in place, just trying to absorb it. Then the judge turned to the matter of Logan. "As for the minor child Logan," he said, "this court cannot remove him from his current school without a separate proceeding. However, I am ordering that he be allowed regular, unrestricted contact with his brother. The school is to lift any communication blocks immediately." My parents looked like they'd been slapped. Their lawyer started scooping up his files, already working out how to spin the loss. But it didn't matter. The truth was on the record now. As we left the courtroom, my mom made one last desperate play. Tears in her eyes, voice trembling. "We only ever wanted what was best for you," she said, reaching out. Jack stepped between us. "Don't," he warned. "There's a court order now." Susan added, "Any contact has to go through legal channels." 3 months have passed since that day. I'm legally emancipated now, living full-time with Jack. He's more of a parent to me than my biological ones ever were. Hampton confirmed everything. The scholarship is mine, and I'm starting classes this fall. Logan decided to stay at Westfield through the semester. Turns out he actually likes it there. The structure, the quiet, it's helping him heal. Without our parents poisoning the air between us, we've started rebuilding something real. We video call all the time now, just as brothers. No games, no competition, just us. As for our parents, they went through with their big move and apparently told their new neighbors they only have one son, Logan. The one off at boarding school. Susan said it's not surprising. Denial's common when abusers are forced to face what they've done. I still have bad days. Doubt creeps in sometimes. You don't just walk away from years of being told you're not enough and never think about it again. But the difference now is, I'm not trying to prove I deserve love anymore. I know I do. Yesterday, Logan said something that's been echoing in my head ever since. "You know what's weird?" he told me. "I always thought being the favorite was a blessing, but it was just a different kind of trap." He was right. We were both stuck in that mess, just in different corners of it. But the best part is now we both get to choose what comes next. And this time it's on our terms. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel for new impressive stories every day.